Welcome to the Debt Doctor podcast, where we deliver the definitive prescription for navigating distressed real estate debt. I'm your host and America's most qualified debt doctor, Bill Bymel. I've spent my career investing in, diagnosing, and reviving thousands of distressed real estate situations. The Debt Doctor prescribes proprietary remedies to help you identify, acquire, and monetize undervalued real estate assets. Each episode gives you insider access to the strategies top cohorts use to transform market volatility into double-digit returns. If you enjoy what you hear today, hit the follow button, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and please share your support with a quick review. You can find me on the web at billbymel.com. Thanks for joining this episode of The Debt Doctor. Greg Trotter, thank you for joining The Debt Doctor.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much, Bill.
So I am a big believer in learning from those who have dealt, had their swings in the mud and who have been out there, that aren't just theorists, that are boots on the ground. This is how I built my business, going out and dealing with situations and dealing with deals, and you still doing it at your ripe young age of 29.
Yeah, but let's go back to the beginning, right? Do you remember Jimmy Carter?
I was a young boy, but yes.
Yeah, so was I. And so I lived through that. And then you have the late 80s and then on and on and on. And so I have a lot of gut reaction to when I feel distress. So I do a lot of work for banks on doing draw inspections and things like that, or whatever, just project status assessments. And this stomach starts talking to me if I don't feel good about something. Like when things are out of order, out of phase, when I'm watching a construction project and I go, whoa, hold on. Something's wrong. And I'm going to just keep tracing this down.
Right.
Like Columbo, right? And go, let me ask one more question. You remember it.
Right.
I think I've earned this over the long time. And I get such a thrill out of it. I just can't believe it. I was on a project in Bradenton, which you know where that is, and it's basically on that river, on the water, and 900 units, 100 acres, and what could possibly happen, right? And I'm doing the due diligence on this project.
Yeah.
And I mean, we didn't have for 41 years, we didn't have a hurricane hit Orlando. So that probably means it's never going to happen again, right? We have short memories, my friend, and we have humans who just fall in love with projects or do things pretty stupid, and here I am to decipher and help and hold their hands through whatever it may be. So we love these vulture groups that want to find distressed properties.
Right.
We love banks that call us and go, Greg,
we got a problem.
Department. We got a trust. This is from the trust department. Notice the word trust.
At the bank, the trust department.
They go, listen, could you go out and check this asset? We have no idea what's going on with it, but it was hit by Ian and blah, blah, blah. So you're looking at a guy that really, right in front of me, I have a big, huge picture of Egypt, one of the tombs. And this is my tomb. My Egyptian tomb is to go to projects that, what the hell, what's going on? No one's been there and no one possibly is really interested in. And I get to go. And when I get to go, sometimes sometimes when you open the front door of a unit, you can hear someone going through the window at the back door.
Wow.
That building. Project I had, I think it was Kansas City, where the way to fix a sanitary clogged pipe is just take the cover off, and then of course all this stuff comes onto the finished grade courtyard in front of the building, and I'm walking in that much. Well, you know what I'm sewer water.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it takes kind of, there is risk obviously. But isn't it the greatest thing is
Oh
getting
yeah.
paid to be at Colombo? Like,
Yeah.
oh, hold on, what's this is so there it
You
is.
are the construction and property distressed property detective,
I am,
basically. Actually, I think you call yourself a bodyguard
yeah.
also. What's that about?
Well, I didn't come up with that. How could you look at me?
I know. I was going to say, I'm a much bigger guy than you, and I don't call myself a bodyguard by
I'm
any
not a
means.
bodyguard. Anyways, embarrassing how bad that the name that is in a way because I'm just not really good. But I went to a big meeting on a fairly large property in Texas, and one of the we work with a lot of capital groups,
Hmm.
and the smarter they are, the more people are there. So there's
Yeah.
this vast entity of entourage of people that were going to walk this property today. So we met in the clubhouse in the big conference room, and my client out of Miami, you know them, Pensum Capital, goes,
Hmm.
and I'm hiding in the back of the room. And one of the partners at Pensum Capital said, and everyone, that guy back there is Greg Trotter, and you better take care of what he's asking questions for because he's going to ask you questions and he's going to want the answers. And he is my bodyguard. And who are we all working for? That's the boss, right? I
Wow.
said, how I've never been in, I couldn't have possibly gotten a better instruction than
Oh
that
my gosh, that must
from
have been a great ego boost, that one.
and Pensum Capital, not that too shabby. So I get the privilege to work with a lot of really large special groups. Some of them are just conventional big guys that have a lot of equity and they build their portfolios with really conservative parameters, and I'm there to take care of them.
To really bodyguard it. Yeah, to
Really, yeah,
protect it.
because
Right, yeah.
they don't want any surprises. But then again, we got a call from a guy out of San Francisco, and of course I said, "How did you find us?" And it was like he read what we're really looking for is distressed property assessments if we can get them because there's such an opportunity there. I mean, the delta between, when they're really the lender in some cases like Treasures on the Bay where there's three lenders, it's a situation where what do we do? Where do we go? So we just did a project for a group, and the guy that found us was in San Francisco, but the property's in Kissimmee, when you know where Kissimmee, Florida is.
Of
And
course. That's
and
where those of us that couldn't afford the resorts would go for the $9.99 a night motel rooms as a kid growing up. My parents took us there when we
right, hey, at least they took you to Disney. But
That's
anyway,
true.
so anyway, that's really where we really got our feet wet is pun intended is to go and be the guy that's going to catch the 10 o'clock plane that we were told to be there the next day or the first flight out in the morning and go and see projects and see what's going on with them and be prepared. And so we're really not afraid. We see there's opportunity and we've seen people do really well, groups do really well. And what a privilege it is to be part of that. So that's what I
Yeah.
do.
And you know what? I actually take a lot of pride in that. I think that's what attracted to me to you wanting to talk to you more and to, um I- one of the things that first intrigued me about getting into the distressed debt business
Yeah.
was that the control back in GFC that a lender basically had because all the loans were greater than the value of any of the real estate. So there was like, yeah, okay, these people own the real estate, but they got to. Come to me at some point.
Yeah.
It was also what I've experienced in the 17 years since I started buying distressed loans, and in the 23 years since I've been buying distressed real estate, I started as a fix and flip residential investor in South
Mm-hmm.
Florida. Bought my first condo in Deerfield Beach for 40,000, flipped it for 90, and that's how I started.
Nice.
And what I experienced through all of that is that, you know, there's never, it doesn't get repetitive. I mean, there's some repetition. You obviously get, in scaling, and there's ways of doing things, but something new always, there's something always new about it, especially the distress situations, because you can't really write a book about it. I've written a book, and I can't and it doesn't even cover all the scenarios. Since I wrote the book Win-Win Revolution 2017 about everything I dealt with up until then, I've encountered a dozen more scenarios of situations, either with the borrower scenario, a local governing scenario, a financial scenario. Obviously, we've seen a huge shift in the cost of capital. Some return to normality in the last few years, and it's also interesting to see different generations who haven't experienced that or
That's
haven't seen
great.
it.
I love these underwriters that have never had a downturn, and they're like, "Oh, please, just don't screw my deal up. Please don't kill it." And I'm not there to kill it, because Bill, as you know, it's really not me that kill it, is the facts. And so and what's interesting is, as you know, a lot of operators are really capable of taking a D minus property and shifting it to a C or C plus. And so I don't presume to not to know everything about my client and their capability. How about just telling what's going on? And I don't know about the government side of the deal. I don't know about this side of the deal. I know that side of the deal. I just know, well, what's going on with the building or with the property, with the potentials, and avoid, not at least letting them know risks. And then I ask them, by the way, what's your hold period? 5 years. 5 years. Okay. So what do you think this is going to look like in 5 years? Now, no one, as you know, in that group really has been thinking that far ahead in a really good, confident way of going, well, in 5 years, it's going to be this, this, and this. And we're in the honeymoon part of this situation here, and
Yeah.
everybody else is thinking maybe we'll get this and we'll get going tomorrow, make a lot of money. Or I'm going, hold on, hold on, hold on. What are you thinking about doing in the next 5 years? And they're going, well, let's see. So that's me, and I'm not trying to kill the deal. I'm trying to
You're more
improve
pragmatic.
clients. Yeah, and it's so easy, right?
Right.
It's so easy. It's just the truth.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is what makes you a good receiver. It's what's made you, a court appointed. This is what makes you probably a good mediator, or, and someone who can be a trusted advisor to distress asset. Tell me, listen, I know there's assets that I've been back and forth with over the years, but as we were coming on this afternoon, you were telling me about a project that you've been involved with, what, almost 20 years, you can't get it out of. Can you go into some of that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Is
Heading
is
down to
that
Miami tomorrow, huh?
right? Um, if you're court appointed a receiver, then all of a sudden, in the history of the property, from any way you want to look at it, your name is going to show up because you did work on it, right? So in this case, there's a project in Miami, and I ended up having to move down there with the wife and the cats, and we had to take it over. Three lenders, one from California and two from the East Coast, one in New Jersey and one in Boston. But what happens is that you have so much history, so that people, the property is going to change hands and this and that, and then somebody wants to do due diligence on the property, and they call you. They say, "Hey, I see your name. I remember you, Trotter, from something else. So what can you tell us?" So you get involved with that, and then a dispute happens on the property. This is what I'm going down tomorrow for. You hit it. Is that there's an issue on the roof that I told them they had to expect to re-roof in a certain amount of time. Got re-roofed. Now there's an argument about, is the roof right? So it's funny, Bill, how in some cases I have worked on the same property, real substantial one, 5 times, 5 different owners. And you go, there's no way, because in my business plan, I didn't say that I would really be leaving, Central Florida, let alone around the country and around North America. But I certainly never expected to see the same building 5 times. In fact, I didn't expect to see it more than twice. And what a privilege, But they are a little blown away when before I open the door, I can tell them what's inside. And you just you build up your reputation, you build up. It's my portfolio now, of what I've worked on, and I have too much fun, and I have bring a lot of enthusiasm to the situation. But I'm not there to scare anybody. I'm there to really inform them. This is what it's going to take. This is what we're involved with, and do you see it? And of course, a lot of them, I have to send them the report and do as good a job as we can get that to convey what's going on and how this is important to them and me to properly address.
I would like to um I'd like to ask your perspective as someone, look back to someone. I know this is different. Obviously, you and I, we grew up in a little bit of a different era where it felt like there was a lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
and we had our choices. We had a pretty good upbringing. I don't know. The It seems like my kids' generation, and maybe even soon, I'm about to, maybe in a year or two, be a grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to advise people what to do. We're seeing certain career classes evaporate overnight, like the AI age industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Um, and my son's generations, they all thought going to college to be a programmer would be the end all be all. They were going to be the next tech gurus. And now they made good money for a few years and now they're overnight obsolete. So, I mean, you seem to, how did the journey start? How did you, and how would you, but I want you to frame it, not, try to frame it from the perspective of how you would advise someone in today's generation if you were trying to get started and build yourself up as a trusted advisor in this world. I mean, I know that's a complicated question.
No. Well, if they're watching you, then that gives me a lot of confidence to who I'm speaking to. And you laugh, but okay, your audience is a hell of a lot different than
Right,
my
that's true.
audience. That's number one. Number two, you're going to be surprised, but it's true. Is that Bill? If you have an interest in real estate and you touch a piece of real estate, you show some interest in a piece of real estate. I've left projects where I said, you know, this is such a good project that, and this was back in the pager days. I'd give them you can page me. This might
Beat
help
me.
you. And but if they don't want, but hell, if they don't want to buy it, I'll buy it.
That's right.
And then you watch this, Bill. Is this right? Oh my God, I don't recognize that number. I wonder if. So what I'm
That's right.
saying is, let's say you see a deal, and I did one. I just worked on one for a vulture type group, and they called back and they said, Trotter, your number is higher than the original estimate for what we're getting back, and there's some construction that's been done on it. And what the hell? And what the hell to the company that was monitoring it for the bank? And they said, they're 99% complete. And they're not even close. And I love this is coming from a client that deals in distressed property. And I said, so you and I know that this is just a starting point. And so they take my report and they send it to the bank. And what does the bank say when they reads it? And they're going to look at it and they're going, holy shit, we are in big trouble.
Right.
And so what do? They go, hold on. We have these idiots that actually have some interest in it, and they've spent some money, and they at least talking to us about it. What's the opportunity, Bill? And that's the answer. Is
Right.
that if you have, let's say you haven't even done anything, and you show interest on a potential, let's talk about a residence or I don't know, a garage or whatever, or a warehouse building, and show some interest in it, and you may be the only candle in the town that maybe can make this thing work. And I think the thing is that it takes a lot to get there, but you have to go through a lot, as long as you're accepting that you're taking a lot of risk on. But the other point is, Bill, and you're going to laugh at this and know it's true, is exactly what do you have to lose when you're 22 and you got nothing? You got nothing. right?
That's so true.
What are you going to lose? Oh, let's see. Oh, nothing.
That's so true.
So you sign things away, and so what you do is you start building, and we're and
Take a
how I
chance.
started, I had no right to be able to start building buildings when I'd never even built a treehouse.
Hmm.
For some crazy reason, my boss said, "Go build this multi-tenant building, 54,500 square feet in this park. It's got masonry, steel, 40,000 yards that we have to export off the property." And I didn't have any right doing that. But what you do is you just go, "Okay, if this you want me to just one
Hmm.
step at a time, and don't be afraid." And it works. It really does work because eventually you get put in a situation where maybe you're going to do a partnership or you're going to do an equity break, and you do the work and they do the whatever. But there's a lot of people out there that are willing to be the bank, right?
Hmm.
So I encourage anybody that really wants to build great wealth. And have I seen a lot of people do really, really well in this? You better believe it. I've been doing it for
Hmm.
this exact thing for 25 years. Um, Before that, I was obviously in construction and things like that, and management consulting. But Bill, the world is such an opportunity, and I want your audience to be encouraged to take a stab at something and just start a little, or as big as you can, and you'd be surprised. As long as you as long as you watch Bill, and Trotter's around and people like that, I found that if you ask questions, especially when you're building a building you shouldn't be building at 22 or 23, and you have no right building that, but people answer it because they don't want your job and you don't want their job,
Right.
right? So just live great, and with no no forms, as we call it in concrete
No,
construction.
I
We'll let
hear
you
it, and
go.
I hear what I hear you say. I hear patience is
Yeah,
something that we have to remind. It's very hard in the world that we live in that's so short lived and short sighted and quarterly reporting, and and we grew up in the beginnings of that, and it's only gotten faster and shorter for kids of our kids generation. Patience and perseverance, a willingness to take risks, get knocked down, get yourself back up. That's such great advice. As someone who is now getting a little older and more conservative in my ways, I forget how many risks I feared taking back then, that if I looked back, I probably should have taken those chances. And so what was I afraid of,
yeah,
What did I have to lose, right?
nothing. Yeah, like nothing. My first house that I bought was 1857 farmhouse, 37.5, had a pond, had a goose on the pond, whatever. The point is that I had a lot to lose, and what I lost was a lot of time, surprises, and find out when you have a house like that. But you learn a lot too, and just go out there and do something, even if it's wrong. And I've said that more than once to my kids. Do something, even if it's wrong. Just do
I
it
like
once.
that.
Yeah,
Do something, even if it's wrong.
give it a
I
shot.
mean, not like morally wrong,
No, no,
obviously,
no, 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 no,
but
no.
take a chance, make a
Yeah,
mistake. That's
that's
how you
right.
learn.
Yeah, and there's a whole culture in your town that meets at some certain coffee place or something that all they do is talk about real estate. Find that group and start talking to them, and show some willingness to and questioning and curiosity and integrity, and you'll be surprised what's going to happen to you if that's truly your vision.
I want to. I got to get your take on the real estate markets in general, commercial real estate especially. I think that's kind of an area that you really focus on, or you've had a lot of insight into.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of properties.
Um, I was believe it or not, after all these years in real estate, I did not know this interesting fact.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at specifically the small balance commercial real estate. So the commercial real estate that doesn't hit the headlines
Right.
that Goldman Sachs and all these other guys invest in, the 50 million, $100 million buildings, which is very common, by the way, in every,
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about the sub $10 million commercial real estate asset class. Uh, I was surprised to find that a large majority, over 70%, are single member LLCs or privately owned. These are not institutional. This is not an institutional market. It's not even a family office market. It is doctors that buy an office, a medical office, and rent to seven other doctors.
Right.
Firemen and lawyers that graduated from single family rentals as their pension to buying an apartment building with a 5% mortgage 7 years ago. The
Uh-huh.
numbers seem to work back then. They're up for maturity refi or and things are tight.
Yeah.
That's kind of the world I'm seeing. But without muddying the waters as to what I'm seeing, I
Yeah.
really want to get your take on the state of the commercial real estate market. Are there red flags? Are there things to be looking for? What are your concerns about?
Easy. Hold on. Here's your answer.
We're
It's the
screwed.
best. It's the best. No.
It's
Ready?
opportunity time.
And I have 23 years of data. Well, 25 years of data on exactly where we're every year. And I think I've gone through enough cycles. So the answer is we're doing phenomenal right now as far as commercial real estate transactional stuff. And I'm talking about the little tiny ones to um, million square feet properties and everything in between. And some of them are, it's actually a type of buyers you're talking about to, my groups that are doing huge portfolios on simply 400 and up $1 million multifamily projects or whatever. So
Mm,
the problems are, since there's always a bad news. The bad news
sure.
is that construction is more expensive because getting materials, getting materials there, finding them, labor, getting qualified labor, that sort of thing, and even the fact that sometimes we don't have enough inspectors in a municipality when we're trying to get something built. So I suggest you hire a private inspection firm to do that versus doing your inspections rather than municipal, because you can have a lot more leverage in getting them there when you need them. But I'm telling you, Bill, after the last 2 years, we went through a terrible cycle in commercial real estate. I mean, like bottomed out. And it doesn't
Hmm.
mean Greg bottomed out as far as enough activity in some days to cover the net, if you will. And you know
Was
exactly
that
what I'm
that
talking
was like 23, 24, right
about.
when rates
How about
shifted?
how about I felt a little bit in March of 22, and then I really saw it drop off the cliff
Right.
in September of 22. Drop off the cliff. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Hines, the biggest private uh, group of owning commercial real estate of their type of property and the type of property we would work in. I had one of their partners tell me, "Greg, we haven't done a deal in 2 years." And I said,
Mm,
and think about that. It's because everything was off with the ask, the sell, the whole everybody what everybody was feeling. Right now, this has got momentum. We've seen every month increase in activity, revenue, that sort of thing.
great.
And so I am very, very optimistic. Screw
And
them. I am. And
yeah, but it's under a new set of rules though,
yeah.
right? There's still people that are playing by the old rules. I was on a call with a family office gentleman earlier this morning who
Mm-hmm.
told me that there were people pitching deals at multifamily deals for B grade apartment buildings in in the mid central part of the country, still at a 4.5 cap, which didn't really compute to me. That's
Right.
kind of the old world thinking, right? With interest rates when they were
Yeah.
nothing. I
Right.
mean, uh, traditional deals, I agree. What I am hearing is for those that there are some that for those that have cash now, maybe this is a result, maybe this is like because all of that cash from right when COVID hit, all this cash poured in, ready to buy distress, it's starting, the distress has come a little bit, and then it's
Yeah.
just got sellers that have, that are forced sellers. And after 2 years of pricing rediscovery, now the market is getting good again, right?
I think it is. I think you actually hit on a couple of things. Partners die in a partnership. Loans come due, whatever the circumstances are. But it's crescendo. I'm not exaggerating this, Bill. We're trying to figure out how we're going to get everything done every day. And I was playing cards and throwing cards into a hat without the lights on in my office, a couple of years ago. So
Right.
it is crazy and it's beautiful and exciting because I don't see this
It's
really
beautiful
stopping.
for a man in the distressed debt and receivership business, which says a lot, folks.
It does. It does. There is opportunity out there. And so, of course, you should take a shot at it. If you have
Yes.
the interest and you're watching you probably have a big potential. And I'm talking about great returns and just think out of the box and be brave and call when you got a question.
It's an interesting thing because I've got this generation of investor that might have gotten in just at the wrong time.
Hmm.
Folks that invested in deals, in the 22, some of those deals, while they may have, ground up multifamily or single family rent deals, while they may have, they may have done everything they said they were going to do, just the simple change of interest rates and the, increased cost of supplies, those two little things took their equity, just wiped their equity out, when you have
Yeah,
floating construction loan and stuff like that,
right. Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. I went to one in Houston, A property when it was built. You would know the developer and say that was an A property. And it got bought in that scenario you're talking about 4 years ago by an operator, a company that was used to running C minus.
Right, right.
So that doesn't fit, right? If you're running an A property, high touch, high feel, secure, beautiful, and a lot of too many amenities as far as you and I are concerned. Like, holy, what we need is another fountain here and another thing there, and just beautiful, beautiful property. And they didn't know how to approach the proper property management of the firm, and it just getting worse and worse and worse. It was in such distress. When you walk into the lobby, and on my alarm panel, it got red tagged January 1st, and I'm there in June. You don't really need to go much further than that. I mean, if you get that's life safety and it's red tagged and no one's doing anything about it. So yeah, it's got to fit. You have to understand what you're getting yourself into and be prepared to properly manage the hands-on.
It's not just a passive investment.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. It's a hands-on investment, and you build rapport with your clients, you build with your vendors and with your partners, or just people who are watching you. And then the day will come when you can be passive about your properties because someone
Right.
else like me is taking care of them.
Exactly. You got to learn the business in order to manage the business. Um, well, let me pull out your crystal ball. And no, we won't hold you to it. Disclaimers
Yeah.
abound. What do you say over the next 18 to 24 months? If you had to put a title on it, if you had to suggest, if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I'm a young investor, I'm an institutional, I'm a family office, we're looking for opportunities," where do you see it? Is it a specific asset class? Is it a specific type of stress situation that's growing? What's your prediction for the next 18 to 24 months in terms of opportunity? Where should we look?
I think it's going to be popping all the time because people have come to the end. What you were talking about, like the group I talked about, they were going to take a serious cut. I mean, it was going to be awful to the partnership and everybody
Mm-hmm.
involved with that property. And those things are just percolating here, there, and everywhere in every
That's what I
market
hear.
and every city. Okay. So what happens is it comes to a point when you walk up and you show any interest at all. I don't know if you're breathing and you have an interest, they're going to go, oh my God, because they'll give you, they'll do whatever it is. But I think in the next 2 years, it's going to be unbelievable. And
Yeah.
people are going to make all the money that we lost the last couple of years. So,
Yeah. And
um,
I agree. And, it's interesting because um, the majority of markets in America on the residential side is someone who has a portfolio nationwide. I will tell you, it has gone from a seller's market to a buyer's market.
yeah,
I'm not saying that prices are just all of a sudden going down because there's not desperation selling. And the majority of America doesn't negotiate, so like, so it's not
it's
like
such a
on the
bitch.
residential side, they wait, it's like, and they're kind of all lemmings. So it's like, but it is a buyer's market. So you're right. If you're looking to buy now, a smart and purchaser can find opportunities in all asset classes right now. And I think
Right.
it's even going to get better.
Right. So the biggest thing that I want to forewarn them, especially if you're a novice, but even if you've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, you need a bodyguard. You need someone to really do due diligence and protect you from a big mistake. And the mistakes I've run into in those thousands of properties were an encyclopedia, let alone a book, of things that, and I always wonder what's the next thing I'm going to run into. I expect when I
Right.
get up tomorrow morning, I'm going to see something that I have never seen before. And I kind of get for that, the Hardy Boy
Yeah.
approach, right? So I want to go through the weeds and find something that, hey, what is
It's
that?
me.
So do not buy anything without good due diligence. And that's environmental site assessments. That's a property condition assessment. That's
Right.
like a risk assessment for uh, wind and wildfires and flooding and surges and so forth. Those are all available now. And we do it all. And you should call someone who's going to really take care of you and cares about you. And
Yes,
that
I agree. 100%. The
I would love to.
idea, like guys like you and I are in high demand
Yeah.
because there's a whole generation like the banks got rid of special assets groups, so they didn't train that generation. There's some PE guys that were trained in distress, but most of the private equity guys of in their 30s don't know what it's like to deal with any cost of capital. Same true with young bankers. Um, and so remember that we will talk about that
I can't
um,
wait. Call me
later.
anytime.
Yeah, but I have one more thing I want to ask you because I want you to leave my listeners with like a guiding principle, one thing that you should, one more nugget of, I mean, you've given us so many, it's kind of unfair to ask for more.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age, I feel like there's volatility on the horizon and in right now because we're experiencing it with these climate events all over the country. That's obviously affecting the cost of insurance. It's something to look forward to. What's the guiding principle in life? I mean, come on, you've obviously done it. What do you or just if anything?
I think that the thing is that no matter what your assumptions are, they're wrong. There you go. That there's some holes that we can poke into your assumptions that you based on whatever you had, and that's okay. But you need to do a really strong market study. You need to do a real good due diligence. You got to, and then you didn't know about the. You have to look really careful at the operating expenses and on and on and on. And you need 100% walk. If you, we just did 900 units in Bradenton. I've done hundreds and hundreds, and you need to be sure that every unit you're going to buy, you've looked at, because you would be surprised at what's going on with building D, and that was so always 100% scour the property, scour the title, scour everything, the survey, make sure that you have a good Alta survey, on and on and on. I preach that to everyone, that you need to take care of yourself. No one else is going to take care of it. So you need to be the commander on the ship because you're taking on a big risk. And I'm thinking you're going to get a great reward, but it's going to be tough. And so you might as well start with working hard.
Yeah. Diligence, diligence, diligence.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
whatever your assumptions are,
They're wrong.
they're wrong.
They're wrong.
It's so true. We live by this world. We all, as humans, it's human nature to live
Yeah.
from the perspective that our reality is the truth.
Yeah.
And we now know that everyone lives in their own truth. The perfect example of the most brilliant people having the wrong assumptions was one that I point to all the time. Former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan sat before Congress in 2005 and said that there is no indication, while there may be pockets of distress in certain areas of the country, there's no indication that there would ever be a national decline in residential real estate in America. That's in 2005.
No problem.
3 years before he got your assumption was completely wrong, Mr. Greenspan.
And we paid him. Anyway, precisely right. So be flexible, have your head going each and every direction. If you have a property, really get to know the tenants and get them to know what they drive and if they have a dog and their name and all that sort of thing. Really put a lot of love and care into your opportunity that you end up with. And people are going to notice that, and they'll give you a fair break if you're really responsive and a good landlord and a good operator.
Yeah,
always.
I hear you. I agree. I am building out a special servicer now.
Okay.
That while I talk obviously publicly about the business, I don't ever mention some of the banks and private equity clients that we have advised over the years, and we obviously have to keep that confidentiality, and we get their approval if we ever talk about a specific deal in public. One of the things that I am seeing, like I spoke to, was this lack of SAG divisions. Bankers are not only are they not the remaining SAG officers that exist at the few banks that have them, and it's usually the money center banks that have some SAG divisions, but even the smaller ones, some smaller ones do. They can't even get their CEO to give them a budget to hire new people to manage the assets. Because that's a recognition inside the bank that there's an issue. It's this whole extend and pretend hiding thing that's going on amongst banks across America. They want to sell their loans, but they don't want anyone to know they're for sale. They are fearful of a massive pricing discovery. And it is, so because of this, and even if they had the money to hire and build their own internal SAG divisions, there's been 15 years of brain drain. So there's no one to hire. Right. That's why you and I are all the more valuable.
Yeah, there's not many of us.
That's right. We better enjoy it while we're that.
That's
right. That's right. And so building a team of senior people like yourself, I've got some ex-bankers joining this team,
Sign me up.
Okay.
As long as it's fun. The only thing, Bill, it's got to be fun, and we're going to make a few bucks.
We'll make a few bucks, and I don't do anything that's not fun. Ask my friends about that. Greg Trotter, thank you for joining the Debt Doctor.
Well, this has been great. I'm so glad to have met you, and I can't wait for our next conversation.
That's a wrap of today's episode of Debt Doctor. I enjoy bringing this content to you each and every week, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Remember to follow us so you get notified whenever new episodes release. If you haven't already done so, please share one of your favorite episodes with a friend, family, or colleagues. And if you don't mind, leave us a positive review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever your favorite listening platform might be. Until next time, thank you for investing your time with us on The Debt Doctor.